What's up, No Rest for the Wicked fans? Today, we're here. We've got a huge update from Thomas Mahler himself, and he has got a lot to say about some upcoming changes with No Rest for the Wicked, and I'm eager to get into it. Let's take a quick look. What he did is he posted on X yesterday, and he said that since the release of No Rest for the Wicked together, we've now officially given the internal, to make a new class system the default. Let me explain why we're making what looks like such a drastic change. And boy, it does look drastic. It absolutely does. For the last couple of decades, most ARPGs have picked one of two approaches. One, a hard class system. Games like Diablo or Path of Exile ask you to pick a class up front, and that decision defines your character forever. You can branch a bit within the boundaries of the designers allowed, like hammered in D2, but you can't truly craft your own class. You're always working inside a predefined box. And then the second, which is number 2, attribute systems. Games like Dark Souls and Fallout let you allocate stat points as you level up, and your build emerges from those choices. From Software has used this model for 17 years, so many assume it's solved. But attribute systems come with inherent issues. Players can't realistically know which stats to invest in early, and once choices are made, you're either locked in or forced to rely on respec systems to undo mistakes. Which, of course, No Rest for the Wicked has a respec system regardless. We don't think either approach is ideal, which is why we've been working on something different. I love it. With the upcoming job system in Wicked, your character class adapts dynamically based on how you actually play. If you spend a lot of time swinging swords, you'll naturally become a better swordsman. If you switch to wands or staves, you'll start progressing as a mage. So that's fascinating, interesting right there, but that still sounds a little confining. Like when we use a staff, like a bow staff, we have to be a mage? You know what I'm saying? But regardless, I continue. Each class has its own weapons, traits, and runes, and players will need to use and master that class to fully unlock its potential. And once mastered, all the class's skills can be used on other classes as well. Whoa, that's the big one right there. Once mastered, they can be used on other classes as well. Your class isn't chosen in a menu, it's earned through play. I love it. This system is clearly inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics, the GOAT, my favorite game of all time. Huge shout out there. And we genuinely believe it could change how players and even other developers think about progression systems in ARPGs. I love it. They're trying to push boundaries and horizons. I've learned a lot about this as a developer. In Ori and the Blind Forest, we introduced a traditional skill tree and quickly ran into a problem. Players want to min-max, and they don't want to be forced to invest into X just to reach Y. That's why we moved the Spirit Shard system in Will of the Wisp. In a similar way, we believe this new job system finally breaks through some long-standing barriers in ARPG progression. It's always scary at first to make changes like that deep into development, but I'm very much convinced that this is going to be a major step into the right direction. Not just for Wicked, but for ARPGs in general. Thinking way out there, isn't he? He's not just worried about Wicked, he's thinking about ARPGs, period. I really think Yasumi Matsuno had figured out the proper answer 30 years ago already, and most Western developers just haven't paid enough attention. Huge shout out again to Matsuno, Final Fantasy Tactics. Love it. Absolutely love it. Wonder if the Evil East Chronicles had anything to do with it. Make sure you go check out my content if you're interested in that. I have it there on my channel. Anyways, awesome stuff. Really, really interesting and exciting. And so we have right here Thomas Mahler on X posting. This is confirmed and it is happening. This is, of course, less than 24 hours ago, and it is coming our way. Get ready for it. With that said, if you hop over here to the developer post from Thomas Mahler right here, we got over on the forums for No Rest for the Wicked, he breaks down, of course, a year ago almost, some different things that he's looking at as far as these different jobs, we're going to say. That's what we're going to call them, classes. And their requirements, what they use, like assassin, weapon, their dexterity and intelligence. You got ninja, samurai, trickster. Really, really interesting stuff. He's kind of got it all broken down, which I'm sure is going to see some different things. You see 20 classes, you know, for one-handed, 20 for two-handed. That's a tremendous amount of information here. Really, really huge. However, we have an updated post here, which obviously is what's just now come out less than a month ago now, 27 days ago, and it's an overview of the upcoming class system that we have. It says right here, how will the class system work? Each weapon archetype will be assigned to a class. They plan to have 10 to 16 weapons per archetype. By using a weapon, it will be substantially easier because we won't have attributes and their requirements anymore. You gain points that you can use to unlock traits with. And so those points are seen in the images, which we'll go over, but they are shown as CP. You see right here it says Sorcerer 5000 CP, but yeah. And then this is basically saying attributes are out the window. That's huge. So no longer will we be picking attributes. Tell me what you think about that. What's it going to do to armors and the weight system and how that all works? I'm fascinated to know. There's been a lot of debate over the armors and how they're going to work because they're specifically listed under particular classes. However, is that what they're going to be limited to? I'm eager to find out. Regardless, we continue. Up to 6 of those can be freely mixed and matched. 6 of those can be freely mixed and matched. These traits will be designed to be more substantially change how you play the game, than just stat up or stat down. Additionally, you need to master a weapon to extract its runes. Multiple images of a mock-up of the class's screen where we'll unlock and equip traits also got shared. So really interesting stuff right here, and it shows that first, let's talk about this. You have to master a weapon before you extract its wounds. Runes, that's massive. But let's take a look at these images. So we got Heretic, Oracle, Priest, Mage, Sorcerer, Mystic, Spell Warden, Plague Doctor, Necromancer, and Witch right there. You jump on over and it shows you got the different weapons, and it shows this weapon has been mastered, this weapon's 50% mastered, and you look down here, you see these traits. It shows a CP value under this trait at right behind that lock key, so meaning that it's not been unlocked, and that's how much CP is needed to unlock it. We see up here that says CP 5000, the sorcerer is level 26, and then we have a bar, which I'm assuming is like your level bar. But really, really interesting there. It says the sorcerer is born with magic burning in their blood. Sorcerers wield raw, untamed power without the crutch of ink or prayer. Their spells surge like storms, beautiful, deadly, and unpredictable. Many see them as living relics of a world before the sacrament chains, proof that magic itself still breathes. Among the serum, they are both treasured and feared. Really, really interesting stuff right there. I love playing with magic. Just want to throw that out there. But, yeah, it is what it is. Then we got the Professions Codex right here. And so you can see we've got 27 traits up for grabs from what we can see. And it shows a trait description goes here. No video, the image above, blah, blah, blah. It's going to give us a little brief showdown of what it does and what's capable. And then it appears that we have so many that we can equip right here. Really, really good stuff right there. And then we're going to hop back over and keep clickety-clicking until we get to this list right here, which apparently is all the classes we're going to have access to, from Archer, Ascetic, Assassin, Barbarian, Berserker. I wonder how those two differ. Blade Master, Brute, Cleric, Contortionist, Crusader, Cutthroat, Dragoon, Exorcist, Fencer, Flagellant, Frost Mage, Guardian, Harbinger, Knight, Lancer, Marauder, Monk, Mystic, Necromancer, Paladin, Pilgrim, Plague Bearer, Pyromancer, Rogue, Sentinel, Stormbringer, Templar, Trickster, Viper, Warlord, Witch, and Wraith. Viper, shout out to Final Fantasy. Clearly the devs know Rest for Wicked are Final Fantasy fans, but this is pretty massive. Really, really massive. It says right here, how many classes will be implemented? We don't have concrete number, but 2 lists have been shared on Discord. This includes some of the classes that are confirmed not to be in the game 1.0, although we don't know which. So this right here are some of the classes that are confirmed not to be in here when I'm naming those all off, but really, really interesting. Huge number of things. The classes in this list seem to be planned for 1.0, and so these are the classes that will be in the game as of 1.0. We got Marauder, we got Assassin, Pyromancer. Of course, it has a little bit of an explanation for each one. Really interesting to see. You know, Assassin get out of combat, deal sneak attacks, you name it. Frost Mage, Brute, Berserker, Barbarian, Fencer, Rogue, Monks, Knight, Paladin, Guardian, Plague Bearer, Cleric, Stormbringer, Archer, Crusader, and Dragoon. Dragoon, really, really interesting. Yeah, and so we continue on down here. It says, when will this class system be released? The class system will be implemented with 1.0, but tested beforehand in the PTR/beta. Many underlying changes are also coming with it. For example, balancing, new weapon archetypes, and more, which will lead to a save wipe. New classes might be getting implemented with 1.0. And then speculation and expectations. This is a soft class system which is inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics job system. Seems to be very promising in my opinion. I think it will be a task to get it right, but if they do, then it will surely be a massive success. Yeah, I agree with that. So really, really interesting stuff right there. And this came out, like I said, a month ago. It was shouted out, and yeah, it is definitely inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics because Thomas Marler has confirmed that himself. These images are exciting. This is fantastic stuff, and I cannot wait. It appears that most of these are going to have their own icon and so on. I cannot wait to see how this works out. You're going to be able to play a specific class. It looks like it's going to outline your weapon and your armor type when you play within that class. However, you're going to be able to pick up traits and abilities from other classes, and then you're going to be able to make a quote-unquote hybrid class, just like in Final Fantasy Tactics. So if you're not familiar with it, I'll explain. You might play as a paladin, or let's say knight, because that's what it is in Tactics. But you might play as a knight in Tactics, but you're not limited to using a sword and shield, sword and board. You might use an ability called Equip Spear that you pick from Dragoon, which allows you to use spears as a knight. And so then you have the benefit of having the high defensive prowess of a knight, but then also the range of the spear to attack and do damage. However you want to play, it's customization at its peak, and it's fantastic to see that No Rest for the Wicked is going for it here. I could literally stand up and do a backflip. We're talking about my favorite game here, Final Fantasy Tactics. So absolutely massive. Tell me what you think about it. Are you excited about these change and the possibility of them coming? Well, they're definitely coming now. Do you think that they're going to execute it correctly? What do you think they need to do to execute it correctly? And yeah, go on in the detail, please, in those comments below and tell me all about it. With that said, huge shout out and thank you to my soldiers. I deeply appreciate you. You guys and gals are the ones that keep the content going and flowing, and I'm ever grateful for y'all. I truly appreciate the support, and until next time, guys, I will catch you later. Bye.